Survivor's ready. Go!
Travis spoken.
Boston Rob and Amber are gonna do it.
This is a business trip, as I like to say.
You, Brad Culpepper.
I'm tired of you and the fucking chicken.
You can call me the puppet master. They can be my little puppets.
It's not like you're making a deal with the devil here.
You get to milk your own milk, I guess.
Who the hell voted for me?
Chicken.
Damn! We got enough rocks here, too. We could build a pretty decent shelter just using rocks.
I'm supposed to talk lamb, or you? You understand that better?
Direct from Hobart, it's time for the only Survivor podcast in Australia dedicated to Survivor, bringing you all the latest interviews, episodes, and opinions from the greatest reality show on the planet. It's Survivor Oz, and here's your host, Ben Waterworth. Hello, everybody, and welcome once again to Survivor Oz, Australia's number one TV and film podcast, as we come to you for our fourth Oztopsy of the season, and it's good to be back in the chair after a week away and letting other people take over, but whatever, the rightful host has returned, although some people on our page reckon I'm not needed, but whatever, you can get fucked. We're here to talk about episode 4 and 5 of Survivor Worlds Apart. We had a double episode this week, plenty to get through, and with plenty to get through, we have plenty of Ozlets on the line, including somebody who hasn't been on one of these for a while, and it's his birthday, Mr. James Pickering. Woo! Welcome back to Survivor Oz, sir.
Thank you very much, Ben. It's a pleasure to be back. I thought, what better ways to celebrate my birthday than to join you guys and chat some shit about Survivor.
Why the fuck not? That's why you were born, to chat shit about Survivor. So, well done. How old are you turning today, James?
25, believe it or not. Quarter of a century.
Old man.
You old man.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, is that the Queen ringing you up
No,
to happy
that's
birthday? The thing in England, the Queen rings up every citizen. Hello, James. Happy birthday.
You made it to the quarter century. You got the Queen phone call. Only 25 seconds long, though.
Yes, exactly. She times it by the years. Also, speaking of Queens, it's a man from Queensland. Julian Groneberg's here. Julian, welcome back to Survivor Oz.
Hello, it's good to be back. It's also been a while since I've done one of these, so happy to be here.
I've been listening
some shit.
Well, I've been listening to a lot of your voice recently. Been listening to some old episodes, the Worlds Apart preview, the controversial Worlds Apart preview episode.
I think that was, oh god, like that was nowhere near that controversial, and I thought it was a good episode. Yeah, that was fun.
It is quite good, actually. The most memorable part I could remember is you talking about sluts. And Paul loved the way you kept saying it. He kept asking you to say sluts.
Oh god!
But I can't even remember what it was in references to.
I think I was a bit harsh on Tyler, which I sort of take back now. But
yeah, Tyler was very uncomfortable. We didn't like Tyler in the preview episode. Yeah. And Vince, well, that's warranted. But anyway, well, good to have you back here, Julian. Also, good to have back is one half of the duo that helped keep this ship afloat last week from Canada, Mr. Colin Hilding. Colin, welcome back.
Thank you. It's a good double celebration today. James' birthday and Ben's comeback show. So, big celebratory day here.
Well, I know which one I'd rather celebrate, but...
CBS has been advertising it all week.
Hashtag Ben's back.
The
TV event of the year. Ben is back. Followed by Own You, 2.5 Men. But Colin, I should mention... Over. It is, actually. It is. Colin, I should mention, you've actually hosted more episode recaps this season than I have so far. So, good job.
I have. Yeah. That's right. There's a new sheriff in town.
There is. Well, I'm going to fix that up this week. Don't you worry. And speaking of also the other half of co-hosting the Oztopsy as well as the episode recap last week, it's Snug's favourite export, Noah Groves. Noah, welcome back.
It's good to be back. This seat isn't quite as comfortable as the seat I was sitting in last week, but a lot less stressful, so I'm happy to be.
Yes, you are.
Hashtag bring back Ben. Hashtag bring back Billy.
Yes, and I bring back Kate. Remember, we want to keep that going. I just want to quickly point out before we get into talking about this episode that I want to make sure that my Botox is working this week. I think people will notice that as well. And also, I've always wanted to say "hold up, bro" at the start of an episode. So Yeah, just had to get those out of the way. Anyway, James, birthday boy, what did you think of these 2 episodes? And also, since we haven't really heard much of your thoughts of this season so far, give us a bit of a take on how you're feeling about the 30th season of Survivor.
In terms of the season, I'm actually really enjoying the season. I think it's been quite good. I'm enjoying the return. It kind of feels very old school. So returning back to lots of character scenes and getting to really know the characters. And I think every character has a pretty good storyline at the moment. Everyone left anyway. I was enjoying the episode. I enjoyed the first half of the episode last night, but I just don't. The tribe swap just left me just. Ugh, yuck. And it happens every year these days. You always get the tribes as being so lopsided in terms of ability, and I see the next episode being really kind of formulaic as a result. But I think the season's got some really good potential, and I'm really enjoying it so far.
Colin, what did you think of this week's double episode?
Well, coming off of last week, anything was going to be an improvement. I still think that the first 2 episodes of the season was a lot better. I liked seeing the dynamics of those tribes where everybody was similar. And I agree with James, the tribe shuffles made it a little bit more standard, but in particular, the second episode that we saw, that one really blew me away. I think the season's picking up now as a result of that.
Noah?
I thought the episode was good. I don't think the episode was great, or the episodes, sorry. We'll get into more as James and Colin brought up the tribe swap. I wasn't too happy with how that played out, and we'll touch on that, but I don't know about this season. It's kind of middle, like, I'm not really feeling it too much, and I'm sure we'll talk about it, but 5 episodes into any other 3 tribe season, and I was much more invested. So I'm a bit worried. I'm not sure about this. And side note, Jeff Probst called this his favourite episode of the season. So really? I'm worried if that's the best episode of the season, what's to come?
As in the second episode, or like both together?
I'm not sure if it was clear. I just read that somewhere. I'm not sure if he meant both or what.
Wow. I didn't... Wow. Okay.
So, hopefully Jeff's not correct on that one.
Well, it's interesting, because Jeff, like... Generally, when he talks up some things, like, you know, he'll tease you a lot and say, this is, you know, oh, watch out for this, watch out for that. But, like, if this is the peak... Anyway, Julian, the double episode?
I definitely hope... I mean, I've enjoyed it all so far, but it hasn't been blowing me away, really. And last week's episode was pretty boring. So it definitely improved, but the Lindsay boot, the first episode was... Oh, God, I feel like they're all 1 rather than 2, but I think it got better as it went along. So, yeah, I don't know. I definitely hope it's not at its peak, though, because that would be shit.
Just looking in terms of the Switch and the other 3 tribe seasons, so it's generally always happened in episode 5, just quickly going through it. Yep. All Stars, it happened in episode 5 in I've Been Bamboozled. In Philippines was 5, yes, and Cagayan. Given the first episode was yes, we've established this now. It was 1 episode, but it had 2 boots in it. So if you want to sort of
technically
after 4 boots, it was done. So I guess if you were to have foreshadowed this, it would have been fairly easy based on that. But one thing that I was disappointed with that they did it was that, and we talked a little bit about this pre-season, I mean, this is the most even we've had a 3-tribe season. Every tribe had lost, with obviously Blue Collar finally losing immunity in episode 4. I mean, Noah, do you feel they could have kept these 3 tribes a little bit longer, given it was even this time around compared to the other 3-tribe seasons?
I did think about this question, and yes and no, because on one hand, if No Collar loses, without a question, we know who's going home. It's Will. That's not even a debate. So that would be really super boring. If Blue Collar lost again, it's more than likely going to be Sierra, but they're so effing crazy that anything could happen with them. Like Rodney and Dan and Mike, like they're a bunch of misfits. So I guess there could be a bit of drama, but it's probably Sierra. It's the white collar. I was disappointed. I think the white collar going back again would have been interesting. Would Tyler and Joaquin go against Max, and would Carolyn get her way? Would Shireen take the boot? Like, would Joaquin go? I think the white collar could have kept going, but it may not have been worth the risk because of the no collar being so obvious. But one thing I'm excited, or not excited, but interesting is, will this go to 11 merge or 12? Because on all the other seasons, we had the Lindsay quit, so that put the numbers down. We had the Dana Medivac quit, so that put the numbers down. But this time, if there's no Medivac or quit, are we going to have this for three episodes of this new tribe, or just 2 and merge at 12?
Well, that's a good point, because every 3 tribes season we've technically had a quit, haven't we? I mean, All Stars we had
so
2.
That's chucked the numbers down. Philippines,
you meta quit, and Cagayana quit. So yeah, that's a very good point actually you make, because it doesn't sort of look like we're going to have a quit so far either. Like, we haven't really had any kind of teasing of...
No, I don't think there'll be a quit.
Yeah, I definitely think that, Jen will quit. I don't fucking know. We'll go through some things. I'll probably throw out some random questions to people and just get one of you to answer it rather than get your thoughts on all of it, because we've obviously got a lot to cover, given that we've got 2 episodes. So we'll just go through a few points here. We'll start with episode 4. We had the snake. Noah, you would have loved the whole... we literally got a chopping the head off the snake. Yeah, we always get that. James, peeling of a snake. Would you have eaten that snake, James?
Why not? I mean, if you're on Survivor, right, you might as well eat it. It was quite graphic, though, the way they ripped the skin off it.
Yeah.
It was a bit gross.
And
Rupert wouldn't have been happy. I was worried about Rupert.
Think about Balboa at that moment. But, like, was that... Like, we actually pretty much got to see him also chopping the head off. Like, when they did the chicken, like, they always cut away that exact moment. Like, do they just not give a shit about snakes?
Is that foreshadowing? Cutting the head off the snake?
Maybe, but I was actually... I was eating a piece of pizza when I was watching that episode there, and he's ripping this snake skin off. I'm like, Jesus, that's nice. It was very quick, like... I timed it 4 minutes into this episode, and we're into a challenge. It was like, boom, Julian, like... We didn't get time to think, did we? Did you like that kind of straight away into a challenge?
I wasn't expecting it because we hadn't had the reward challenges in the first 3 episodes, I don't think. So I was expecting a lot more camps or stuff, so it kind of threw me. But I think once it got going, I was pretty happy to see it, especially because was that the challenge that caused the injury as well? Was that?
Yes.
Yeah, so it was a pretty good challenge. Like, it was pretty, eventful.
We had that challenge in Cagayan, didn't we?
Yes. Yeah.
So actually, I have to admit though, like, I am getting a bit over them using the same challenges from the last 2-3 seasons quite a lot. Like, you keep seeing the same land-based obstacle courses like popping up, and I'm like, ugh. You've got like a catalogue of like 30 seasons. Go back, like, I don't know. There's just more different ones they could be doing, I think.
I agree, and it's interesting because we kind of had it was the first episode, wasn't it, where they had that choose your own adventure challenge where they could choose different things to do in it, like choose a different puzzle.
That was awesome, yeah.
Like that was great. That was like something they'd never done before, and I thought, well, maybe that's kind of going to be the way. But I really liked that the challenge, the immunity challenge, where they had to lift that ball up through the... Like, I thought that was a little bit different, and they had to stand on that platform, but we'll get to that. I loved, like, the whole... And obviously they left it in there because clearly Kelly nearly died from, like, the thing that smacked her in the head. But, like, Jeff Probst, so protective of his precious little platform. He's like, Dad, be careful with that! Like, Will, be careful when that drops! I mean, Colin, do you think, like, Jeff personally created that little pulley or something?
It would seem that way. I like when Jeff kind of loses it for very basic mistakes and everything. I also like that, despite the fact that Kelly was gushing blood to the point where you could see it pooling on her buff.
Yeah.
He still made everybody keep their buffs on because he was more protective of the challenge than anything else. So it was kind of nice to see him putting the priority of the show above everybody's health.
Now, the thing that I found interesting about that, like, I'm sure it's a rule in Canadian and American sports and obviously British, but, like, the rule here in say Australian rules football and other sports is like if you've got a bit of blood in you, there's the blood rule. You've got to go off the field straight away, like health and safety reasons. Like you got to get the blood cleared before you can continue playing. Like they kept her playing with like this blood still. Is there not safety concerns there or something? I'm not saying like Kelly's got a disease, but like I mean she had blood dripping from her. Like as you were saying, Colin, like. I don't know, is it a thing, Colin, in ice hockey there? Like, if you're bleeding, you've got to go off the ice straight away?
I think so. I mean, I don't know if I've seen it happen enough to know for sure, but what concerned me more is that, and maybe somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, I might have missed it, but they're protective enough that they bandaged her up, but I didn't see them even clean the cut first. Wouldn't you think they'd just give it like a little swab?
Bring back Dr. Ramona.
Yeah.
It seems
really
really
a lazy
rushed,
way
but...
of trying to help her.
She was so calm though, like she's such a cop. Like she's like she's like could be mortally bleeding, and she's just like, I'm fine. Yep, we'll just do it. And I love Jeff. Like,
there's.
If you
it's not like there's a bullet in her or anything.
And Jeff's like, if you start showing any lightheadedness, we're stopping the challenge. Like so compassionate, Jeff. Like, so
Hey, Dad.
And like, was the buff ripped as well? It looked like the buff was ripped. Like, I don't know if that was me. That was a big hit, though. Like, James, like, that was a big hit.
Yeah, it was huge. It would have hurt. And she didn't even take a blindfold off. Like, I felt myself bleeding. My buff would be on the floor and I'd be screaming. So I was very impressed with the way that she dealt with it. Just literally so cool as a cucumber.
I think the best part was that she's getting some screen time. I mean, let's be honest. Like,
it was all a ploy.
Yes, exactly. Kelly's like, I know at this point I'm not going to be getting any screen time. Let's get smacked on the head with it. But in the end, Blue Collar lose. It's their first challenge they lose. I mean, this was all for reward, of course. There were chickens and then there were eggs. And in the end, No Collar win it. They win the chickens. White Collar win the eggs. They go back to camp, and because it's Will's birthday for No Collar, they celebrate by killing the chicken, and we get a Kimmy Kappenberg moment. Noah, this was a bit of a flashback.
Yeah, well, firstly, I hate that they won chickens, because not only did they use the same challenge, they used the same frickin' reward. And if I'm not mistaken, the Brawn also lost that one, so very flashback there. But yeah, I was definitely thinking Kimmy Kappenberg at that point, but unlike Kimmy's season, hating people killing chickens actually has a practical use in 2015 Survivors, so Kimmy's probably hating it if she's watching the moment.
Kimmy would have had an idol back in season 2.
Yeah, she would have been going to the end with her idol with that. Blindsiding Varna with her idol. Or Mike wouldn't have even burned his hands because he would have been blindsided out by the idol before he even got the opportunity.
Wow.
We're a big fan of the what-if scenarios on this show. One time we're going to do a whole episode just about.
I found it interesting because I remember having a big debate back, I think it was in the Philippines, because I think we were talking about Dawson perhaps being a vegetarian. And I mean, look, Jen didn't necessarily say she was a vegetarian. She simply said she didn't eat meat. And there's about 300 different types of people who don't eat meat, so I don't want to label her as a vegetarian. She's like a
Selecto, Octo, Movo vegetarian.
Vegetarian. But, like, I don't know, like, I like the fact that kind of happened. But yeah, like, you're exactly right. It benefited her. She found an idol. Boom, she's got one. Yes. Just, Julian, Jed, just overall, what's your take on her and how she's playing this game right now?
It's a tough one with Jen because I know a lot of people like her, but I'm half. Like, I think she gives some really good sound bites. But then she's I don't know. I think Hayley is more impressive. Like, she's a bit of a hothead, and I think she is a little bit of a, like, I don't think she reads people's sort of feelings maybe that well, just from that whole Nina thing. So, I don't know. I thought she might have gone when Vince was voted out, so she seems to be playing pretty well, but yeah.
Colin, Jen?
I fall in the category of those that... Who's barking?
Sorry, that was me. Sorry.
Get excited about Jenny, Noah.
Yeah, the dog's in disagreement here. No, I actually fall in the category of those that really like Jen, and I don't really know why, because one of the problems with the season is there's not a lot of people who are likable, and I wouldn't really consider Jen likable, but I think it's that she kills confessionals. I mean, she's such a good narrator of the show, and she's kind of like Corinne, but, not quite as over the top. I think that she's just really good at, getting screen time, and the fact that she has the idol is actually exciting for me because I want to see her go far in the game. I don't even know if I'd be rooting for her to win the game, but I think she's going to make it interesting down the road, so I'm happy that she has the idol.
Do you get better Katie Gallagher vibes from her? Because that's what I was totally getting, a good playing Katie Gallagher.
Yeah, a little bit like Katie, not quite as funny. Again, I think that's where she's maybe not as likable. She doesn't quite have the humor of Corinne or Katie, but she has that attitude that they have. And again, like those two, she's just great at the confessionals, and I think that's really holding up this season.
I like that Katie Gallagher comparison, actually. That's a good one. James, Jen?
I was getting those vibes.
No, I really like Jen. I think she's good. And as Colin said, she's great in the confessionals. Gives great sound bites. Her confessional last night about the 2-horse race about who was annoying. That was. I thought that was just great to watch and like really entertaining. I don't think she's going to win, but I do hope she goes far because from what everyone else has said, she is a good narrator, and I think she's quite unique. I got also kind of Courtney Yates type vibes of her as well, maybe.
You ruined it for me now. There we go. Noah, Jen?
I'm so conflicted. Like, one episode I like her, one I don't. Like, one episode I'm happy she's got the idol, another I'm not too sure. She's leading in confessionals, which is interesting, and I can totally see her winning. Not sure I'd want a win from her, but I can see it happening. So I'm very bipolar on what's her name? Jen? Is that Jen? Is that her name? I'm completely blanking now.
Yes.
Jen? Yeah,
yes.
Jen.
Yes.
Yeah. Oh
Kate.
my god. Yeah, all this talk of Courtney and Katie. Yeah, Jen. Yeah, so I want to like her, but I'm not sure I do at this point, which is kind of a metaphor for this whole season.
Want to jump ahead a little bit in terms of Jen's comments about Max and Shirin being such super fans and like, who remembers this? Who remembers like Chicago?
She alienated everyone watching that episode.
Like, let's be honest here. This is the woman whose favourite contestant is Kate. Like, that speaks volumes for Jen's knowledge of Survivor, but not to take away from Kate's game. I mean, Kate was fucking fantastic in Survivor. But
I prefer a second game, but yeah, whatever.
We went over this in the preview episode. No, her fourth time was the best, alright? But I fucking love Jen. Like, she's amazing. She's beautiful. Jen
or Hayley?
Both, but like Jen to me is like it's hard to explain without coming across as completely sexist and misogynistic about describing their looks. But like,
Rodney.
Oh god, we're getting to that. Trust me. But like, I don't know. You know, we've talked a lot about in the show about people who look hotter as they get dirtier in the game, so to speak. Like Jen, I think is maintaining her attractiveness. Hayley's getting a bit. I don't know, like she's still hot, but
let's leave that. But I can see what you're talking.
Yeah. But anyway,
Sierra's one of those get better as it goes along.
Really, I think it's more the opposite.
I really noticed her to die. All right, let's talk.
Anyway, winner chicken dinner. I'm glad we got a quote from Charlie Sheen. That's a Charlie Sheen quote. Winner chicken dinner. I don't know if that's the first time we've had a Charlie Sheen quote.
I feel like that saying was around before Charlie Sheen.
Well, Charlie Sheen, like whatever, during his winning in
Charlie
Tiger
Sheen
Blood,
revolutionise winner chicken dinner,
just like we revolutionised green buffs. Okay, so
and cat cafes #AmazingRace on.
Yeah. Well, I need to listen to that, apparently. I also want to quickly point out here, I've written down here, cool idol spinner. I love the idol. Like, you could spin it around. That was kind of cool. And also, I should have mentioned, happy 42nd birthday to Will, having a teary. And I love the fact that
times did he mention that it was his 42nd birthday?
I swear, silver anniversary.
Every time he mentioned his birthday, he had to mention 42nd.
I like the fact that he went to the chickens. We like you more than our old tribe members. Hashtag bye-bye Nina and Vince.
Can I also point out, they killed a hen. Why the hell would you kill a hen? Well, when you've got a rooster. This is the dumbest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
But don't they need the rooster to like help them lay the eggs? Or...
Yeah, but no.
Okay.
That would be the hen.
Sorry.
Didn't we establish this in Kaguya when they won chicken?
Am I the Alexis here? Like, I don't know how.
Do you like...
See, Ben... Ben, when a man and a woman love each other...
Yes, what happens next, Colin?
Ben, I know you're... well, I just want to know, because I haven't really heard much of your opinions this season. We don't have our weekly conversations anymore.
We don't, I miss them.
Do you like Will?
I do, like, it's interesting. Like, you all know that I generally go for the African-American tail. I like Will, like, I do, not just because of that reason. I see a bit of myself in Will, because I think I would be that person who, like, struggles...
Well, because it was your birthday this week.
Oh, thank you for remembering. Hashtag in joke to get someone to reference that. No. Like, he struggles in challenges and he kind of seems like that person who's always like, oh, we should get rid of him because he's, like, letting us down. That would be me, I think, physically. But, like, I don't know, he seems like a nice guy. And he's a YouTube sensation, of course. But...
I actually watched his video this week.
Was Manifa in it?
Yeah, I think Manifa. I like Will, but I think Manifa was more interesting. I
do like him. Like, and I don't know. He's a good guy. Best description ever. I mean, he's not Kate, but like, I do like him. To answer the question,
that description probably had about 2 more words extra than your power rankings description. Ooh.
My power rankings have been shit this season, haven't they?
Phoning it in.
Yes. I get to like Monday
You'll
night.
Quit halfway.
Yeah, I'm going to quit halfway. Hashtag Sandra. Hi Sandra, we do love you. So anyway, well, anybody else want to chime in quickly on Will? Somebody just jump in. Julian, you like Will?
He's okay. Like, he's better than I thought. I thought he was going to be really... not funny and just kind of whiny, but no, he's had some good moments, but look, let's be honest, he's not going to stay around. I don't see him staying around too much longer.
I do have to say that we haven't done a look-alike in a very long time. Nick in our group the other week was like, I finally worked out who Will reminds me of. Grimace, the McDonald's, the big purple monster. We have to bring back a lookalike just for that, because it honestly, it is so...
It also helps that he's wearing a purple shirt in his cast photo as well.
Well, speaking of lookalikes, was anyone else getting major Jeff Kent vibes from Mike this episode? He looked so much like Jeff Kent this week.
I see it. Yeah. Jeff...
No toothpick, though.
He's got a very... Like, his voice. Like, it's kind of like...
Yes, Ben.
He's
Batman. Hello, I'm Batman.
Batman. I don't know, like, he just needs to clear his throat. I don't know. But the thing, we'll go to the blue collar. The thing that really intrigued me this week about blue collar is, like, it seemed to me that we just went from this whole, like, Mike sucks, everybody, let's bash on Mike, to all of a sudden Rodney and Lindsay hate each other. Like, James, was this a bit out of the blue? We hadn't really seen this before this week.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that?
We hadn't really seen kind of Rodney versus Lindsay before this week.
Oh, yeah, of course. I mean, for the last 3 weeks, it's been setting up that it's been Rodner against Dan and Mike, and then all of a sudden this week it was a complete 180, and yeah, that was a tad confusing. But I mean, they're both hotheads, aren't they? So, I mean, it can't be too surprising, I suppose.
Colin, did this all surprise you this week?
I think it would have surprised me just watching the show based on what we know of Survivor, but Rodney kind of summed it up. That's kind of what guys do. They'll just lose it on each other and forget about it the next second. I think that Lindsay's kind of shown that she's the one who's going to get in everybody's face for any reason. And Mike seems like a laid-back guy, even the way he took everybody's criticism last week. It doesn't really surprise me that he'd just get over it, but it makes more sense for Rodney and Mike to team up than anybody to team with Lindsay, let's be honest.
Noah?
Just everyone this season, like, Mike's mental, Mike's the cool guy, Dan's mental, Dan's the cool guy, Rodney's mental, Rodney's the cool guy, Lindsay's mental, she's the cool guy, Sierra's gone mental, she's the cool girl. Everyone this season, like, it's almost impossible to pick, like, the winner at it, because everyone has had their moment of wackiness, like, but I think it's safe to assume that Mike is now the power player of those 5 remaining blue people. But yeah, I was confused. Like, power rankings have been so freaking hard because it seems like each week someone new is fighting to someone else.
Julian, anything to add?
Yeah, no, blue collars all had their moments. That's pretty much. I feel like Kelly's the one that's impressing me the most because apart from her, they've all sort of had pretty sort of like iffy moments. But the good thing is they have been able to get over it. Whereas, I think Lindsay was a little bit antagonistic. So
I fucking loved the blue collar. I honestly think that if I was to rank my favourite tribes of all time, not necessarily like based on like, you know, the greatest tribes of gameplay, it's just personalities and how they are. I love the blue collar tribe. Like, I know last week's episode was shit, but I loved the whole, like, the arguments and the...
You liked that?
I did. I loved it. I was cracking up laughing. I fucking love Rodney and, like, going behind Mike's back and, like, funny. Doing, like, fuck you and, like, impersonating him. And, like, and I don't think there has been a tribe that has sworn as much as the blue. Like, how many times have they had to blur their mouths out? But
who was more dysfunctional, blue collar or Tandang, for teams that continued to win?
Oh, that's a good one. I think probably blue collar because, like...
But I feel like their camp is really well set up, blue collar. Like, yes, they do work together well as a team, even though they have, like, little tiffs with each other. Like, they sort of function well. I'd say probably better than no collar in the challenges and sort of around camp and all that. So it's hard to say.
Well, one good thing I think about the theme of this season is, like, if you look, say, back to Cagayan and we had Brains, Brawns, Beauty, like, I mean, the Brains weren't smart, they were dumb. The Brawn, yeah, okay, they were, you know, quite tough, but there were a few iffy ones there, and the Beauties, you know, you kind of question it. I really feel the theme of this season has stayed true. Like, they are so blue collar, and, like, they have stuck to blue collar. White collar stuck to that, and the no collar stuck to that, but, like, I don't know, it was just, I think that part of it worked really well, but, like, with the blue collar, like, I just loved the dysfunction of them all. Like, they were all so unique in the way they were, and you could see all 6 of those people, like, on a building site. Like, you know...
That's the new reality show.
Yeah, like,
coming to CBS.
But, like, but just, like, I don't know, you could just see how dysfunctional they were, but, like, I think Lindsay summed it up so well. Like, the winner is going to be on this tribe, and, like, spurred them all on. Like, they just... And I think it kind of just goes at the end of the day. We know outside of this game, after this season is finished, that this cast is close. And I guess, despite the fact that they're at each other's throats so much, I mean, clearly they've formed bonds out there. So, the whole Lindsay-Sierra situation with Rodney and the whole, like, women situation, like, it's probably a bad topic to bring up because there's 5 men on the line here. But... I mean, Julian, was what Rodney was saying sexist or bad? Like,
I think it was, yeah, like, I think it was, but then he sort of tried to justify it, and maybe that's how he did mean it, but I sort of felt that it was a very stupid thing to think that women should have to hold themselves to a higher standard than men. Like, why should guys get off? Like, he was kind of saying, I don't feel like he was a bit stupid and didn't quite know what he was saying, like, I think he was sort of saying that, like, this society's expectation is that women, you know, need to have more, there's act like a lady kind of thing, whereas guys don't have that, and he sort of agrees that women should act like a lady, whatever that means, but he just said it all wrong, and, like, I think it was pretty bad, yeah.
Do you think it was kind of similar situation to the whole Joel Jervis cow scenario back in Borneo? Like, it's something that you might agree with, but you don't necessarily bring it up in a situation, like as Jeff said, in a social game.
Wait, are we uncovering something here that you agree with that, Ben?
No, like, it doesn't, it's got nothing to do with personal opinion. What I'm saying is, like, I mean, people have opinions in certain ways, but in a game like Survivor, like, we all have opinions that we can openly talk about with each other, on air, off air, whatever our beliefs. But, like, if we were all strangers right now and I was a misogynistic prick who thinks all women should be in the kitchen,
what's different?
I'm not going to bring that up to a bunch of random strangers within a couple of days of meeting them, if you know what I mean. Like, and I'm not saying that's what Rodney was implying, but, like, Jeff kind of had a point, I felt, where he was like, look, you might believe this, Rodney, but this is a social game. But
yeah, exactly.
I thought it was a bit ironic that Jeff Probst was saying that when in the next episode he's saying, like, how weak is this tribe? The men are so strong and the women are so weak!
Yeah, and Jeff is casually sort of borderline sexist such a lot. Like, the fact that he thinks Parvati's only a good player because she knows how to flirt her way is sort of a sexist assumption that she has nothing else but that weapon. So, yeah, I don't know.
Go, Noah.
I hated this scene because that was very sexist. Like, I'm sure his intentions were not to be like that, but it was a very sexist thing to say, and I hated it because I love Rodney, and now I have to really root for this scumbag who really is a bit of a jerk, but he's just so entertaining.
A jack.
we often joke about the hashtag sexist, like, which we joke about on the show, but then now we have to talk about actual sexist things that happen on Survivor.
Well, look,
I hated that.
This is actually quite a good segue, actually. I hadn't checked our iTunes ratings in a long time, and checked it out this week, and we got a 1-star rating.
Yes!
I know! It's like, yes! Finally!
A rating!
And this is by somebody called Pookie Dog.
Mookie?
Pookie. Not Mookie. Yeah,
I listened to the Mookie interview.
But I just want to read this out because this is related to what we're talking about here. It says, I love Survivor. Listen to all podcasts I can. Purple Rock, The Tribe, Rob has a podcast, Tom and Colin. But I can no longer stomach Ozcaps and episode recaps. The Blood vs. Water Ozcap was the last straw. Highly misogynistic, crude, and rarely talks about the show I love. It's not the Ozlets' fault. They sometimes seem as frustrated as me, but this podcast is at the bottom of the pile. Exception is when Ben does interviews with Survivor personnel. They're terrific and underline why it's such a shame the other shows misfire so much. You know what I blame that? That's your fault, Julian. Titty fucking.
No, I wasn't on the Blood versus Water one. That was Kagayan, so...
I blame Jared Elliott.
You stole my thunder.
That was Jared's era. That was even before I was an Ozlet.
We did get another 5-star. I didn't read this one. Really enjoyable podcast that isn't intimidating for those who are fans, but doesn't exclude you if you haven't seen every season 10 times. The live Oztopsies, hello, not live at the moment though, fun and welcoming. Definitely more welcoming since evil Jared left to watch the netball.
Oh, evil Jared. Poor Jared. I love that. That review's awesome. I love that one.
Yeah, I just thought misogynistic. We're talking about like sexism and
as sexist as he was, that Mike Tyson comment was freaking hilarious.
Oh yeah.
Who in their right mind would have a Mike Tyson?
And I just want to point out, we got a Michael Jackson reference. Like, never before have we ever had a Michael Jackson reference.
But speaking of references, did we kind of feel like Rodney wouldn't be going home? Because do they really give someone who's going home to hashtag 3Cs for the second time, and one of the worst hashtags of all time, hashtag I'm Tom Brady. That was pretty shit if we're being real.
I was thinking exactly the same. Like, you don't give people a hashtag, generally if they're going...
The only time I can think of is Alec when he had a hashtag about cottage cheese. The episode... But I feel like that's a different situation because that was the first time we had even heard from Alec at that point.
Who?
If past is to go off, no people who get voted out get 2 hashtags right before they're about to be voted out. So I almost feel like the hashtags have gone to next level and are starting to spoil the show.
Should point out, though, and I get a few opinions on this. Maybe I'll go to James with this one first of all. But, like, as much as Rodney really kind of dug himself a bit of a hole with everything that he was saying there, and I think he's, you know, we talked him up a lot in the first few episodes, and he's really kind of starting to show what we all thought he was going to be like. You have to kind of give him some props with the whole 3C situation, because he's there sitting himself down saying, okay, I'm being a bit too much now. I've got to be cool, calm, and collected to bring myself back here. I mean, James, do you think that's a smart... Like, can you see Rodney as somebody, despite how his personality is, he can keep this in control to take himself far?
I think the fact that he knows that he has to keep himself cool, calm, and collected is a plus. Whether he's able to do that, I personally don't think he is. I think he's a great character, and he's being well cast because he obviously knows the game and what's required to win the game, but he's got absolutely no capability of actually putting that into fruition. So I don't see him being able to. I mean, as we saw in this episode and last episode, his tendency to start shouting and screaming at people and insulting people is too much. So no, I think it's good that he knows, but it doesn't mean he's going to do it.
Colin?
Well, I mean, again, we did see that he obviously smoothed things over with Mike after last week. I still think a lot of it comes down to just Lindsay herself. You know, Rodney's not the only one she seems to have rubbed the wrong way. But who knows? I mean, Tony had probably just as many blow-ups with people, and he was able to survive. And I still think that Rodney's playing a very similar game to Tony. I think that if Rodney's going to win, he's going to have to take away a little bit of the criticism people have for him. And during Tribal Council, it did seem like he was trying to defend himself, but at the same time, I kind of got the impression that he got what people were saying, and he probably will adjust it accordingly. The real question is whether these blow-ups, whether he can recover from them. So far, it seems like he's been able to do that.
Julian?
I don't know. I'm kind of rooting for him because he's one of my ponies, but I do feel like if he can be charming and just really tone it down, he could work himself, but I just think that as the game the pressure mounts, he's just going to fight with more people, and it's going to be his downfall. That's how I see it.
Just refresh my memory on who you have as your opponents there, Julian. Gee, you got 2 good ones.
I hope so, yeah. Like, I'm very excited, but anything can happen. So,
well, there you go. Noah, anything to add on Rodney?
Yeah, basically what everyone else said. Despite all these blow-ups, I genuinely think he can win this game, although he's gone down a bit in my rankings this week. But I think he still has just because the hashtags seem like so forced with Rodney and no other contestants, so I think he has a shot.
I love him. I love him, and I listening to the Worlds Apart preview episode where I'm like in that preview episode going, I love this guy so much. Like, I don't know, he's so vanilla ice. He's so he just reminds me so much of my favourite character from my favourite TV show, Third Watch, Bosco. Like, it's just so much about him, and I love this man. I love him so much, and I just can't express how much I love Rodney. Anyway, we got a bit of White Collar Tribe.
A bit?
Well, we saw bits.
The fact that we haven't talked about White Collar is what was wrong with this episode. This is the last time this tribe's ever going to exist, and we got literally a 2-minute scene of them. I was so disappointed.
Of Shireen talking about killing rabbits.
Yeah, that was disappointing.
I like Joaquin's little confessional about that's sociopath. Like, she probably started killing a mouse, and then she killed a rabbit. I'm
so on the Wack train now. I hated him after episode 1.
Thank you. I'm on the Wack train as well.
I'm loving this.
I hated him after episode 1. I'm up there now. I'm at the front of the train.
I can't wait to see what him and Rodney do together next week.
Yes.
Preview episode, you all hated him. I loved him, and now
even after episode 1, I hated him. But now I'm totally on the Wack train.
I love Wack. I have him as I put him at second pre-game, and now that my winners pick's gone, he's my next best one. Hope so.
He's funny.
I like Joaquin, and yes, Joaquin and Rodney. If that was a final 2. Oh, my God, this season's the best season ever. Jed up there as well. Like, come on. So we got balls and holes for the challenge.
Where's Keith?
Yes. Blue collar finally lose. No respect for women. I'm just going through here. We got Dan's listen like a guy, listen like a girl.
That was funny.
Which was good. You either fix things or you emphasize. He was so fake.
Oh, yes, dear. Okay, dear.
That is definitely the best way to go. I agree.
Big ladies man, Dan.
So much smarter than
no
I
pun
look.
intended.
Was that when he was saying... Oh, was that... No, that was later on when he's, like, talking about Mike. Like, I've spoken to more women than you ever have. I'm twice your age. I'm thinking, Dan, no offense, mate. Like,
is Dan 80?
Like, but look at Mike, like, at how Mike looks. I still think Mike should be talking to more women in his lifetime.
That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking surely Mike's in his 40s and he's saying he's half his age, so is Dan 80?
Mike is 38, so Dan's 76 apparently. Dan's 47, so...
Jeez, he's looking good for his age, old Dan.
I also loved, was it Rodney's spanker like a bad baby? Bad baby, bad baby.
That did not help his sexist case.
Oh no, but and that's when we got the smooth criminal like Michael Jackson. Sorry, that was good. Yeah, so we got Tribal Council. Lindsay goes. Sad to see the alternative girl again. Noah, we love the alternative girls once again.
Last week, I was so convinced this would be the first alternative girl since Courtney Marrett to make the merge, because they never make the merge. And she's voted out. And I was a little shocked going into this episode. I was not expecting her to go. Not shocked when it happened, but going in this week, I did not think she would be going home.
James?
I liked Courtney. But I don't.
So did I. Lindsay.
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know.
Julian, what did you think of Courtney? Lindsay?
Oh, shit. Sorry.
I think it's your birthday, James.
I thought she was average. Yeah, like she had potential, but I didn't see the blue collars going to tribal, so I was not expecting one of them to go. So it was between her or Sierra, which I would have wanted to see go.
Yes.
And so, yeah.
I wanted Sierra to go. Colin, Lindsay.
It's tough because I think she could have made the game interesting if she stuck around longer, but I mean, there was no chance she was going to integrate into any tribe. It's just something about her just has rubbed me the wrong way from the beginning, and it's funny that, you know, she said something pretty offensive to Mike last week and then seemed to get really offended at a comment Rodney made this week, which, you know, may or may not have been tamer, but it still surprises me. This is the woman whose very first comment on episode 1 was, "There's nobody on this planet who's stronger than I am," and the littlest things seem to bother her more than anybody else. Like, I don't get her.
Yeah, it's interesting you point that out. I like Lindsay, and again, it's just such a shame that this archetype of character that can never go far. Like, I don't know.
I liked her on the show, but I already don't miss her.
Yeah. It's interesting. And like, was anyone slightly blindsided by the three-way tie, or was that just me? Like, we didn't.
Blindsided.
I was.
Yeah,
completely.
We didn't. We didn't get like reference. And I kind of was thinking like, oh, Sierra going. Is this going to be like another Jeremy vote? But yeah, that was
I was more upset about the fact they only showed when Lindsay had her last words. They only showed the second.
Yes.
Because I wanted to see who voted for who, and I thought Joaquin was on this tribe, because who voted for Ciara? And I was so upset we didn't get to see those ones, because I wanted to see who voted Sierra and who voted Lindsay.
Well, according to Wikipedia...
How do they know?
I don't know. Like, again, it seemed too early for exit interviews. These wouldn't have been published yet. According to Wikipedia, Dan and Mike voted Lindsay, Kelly and Rodney voted Sierra.
So who wrote Ciara, Kelly or Rodney? Because I could see either one of them doing that. I could equally see them riding that road.
I loved Mike's. What was it, Lindsay?
Lindsay.
That was written twice, so obviously we know Mike.
I thought that was Rodney because I thought it was like, yeah, Lindsay, yeah, like, but it was Mike.
I did like Rodney's kind of little, even though it wasn't good for his game, like his little cocky, like, yeah, gone, bye.
Well, was it also Lindsay, when she wrote Rodney's name down, she did like this incredible design that probably took her like half an hour to write it out. It looked like a work of art. She really took a lot of care in that.
They're wondering why she's like taking so long, and then when they see that one, they're like, oh, right, okay, I get it. It's alright, so we go to episode 5. Dan going off on Sierra. Mike all of a sudden's calm. Okay. Whatever. And then we get the switching up, dropping your buffs. Julian, tribe switch, how it all turned out. What's your thoughts?
Oh, I don't know. Like, I was happy for it because we were sort of saying before, like, damned if you do, damned if you don't. Like, I think it was time, if it had have been 3 tribes, like, I do agree that it would be nice to have a season where they let it play out for a bit longer with 3 tribes, but then it could just become a bit boring too when there's obvious boots. So I sort of thought it was the right time, but yeah, the editing from then just felt a little bit disjointed, and I thought it was kind of obvious when they showed the Nagaroti or the Red tribe. It was pretty obvious it was between Max and Shirin, so that kind of made the whole rest of the episode. It was obvious to me that one of them was going.
Colin?
Yeah, it was very obvious that one of them was going. It's I kind of see it as what's probably now going to be known as the Drew Christie edit, where for whatever reason the show's just going to great lengths to make a fool out of these people, even by including all these scenes that probably don't need to be in it. I'm glad that they did shuffle the tribes up. Because the risk...
Oh, so
this dog really hates me.
Is this a Canadian thing? Because that dog never barks when anyone else but Colin talks.
Put your dog out, Julian.
I think it's a Canadian thing.
It must be. But I think that the risk was that if no caller goes to Tribal Council, this has just become the most boring season ever. Because it's just too predictable for them, like it was with Nina.
Yeah. James, anything to add?
I'm not against the fact they had a tribe swap. I think a tribe swap in a three tribe season is like necessary. But why do they do it randomly? Why can't we go back to it like having a pick'em or a pick'em out of the lineup and pick the tribes? Like the whole, because now it's just the tribes are just so unevenly balanced, and it's happened every season now for the last like 5 or 6. Every time they've done this has happened, and I can't even remember the last time they did it a different way, where perhaps the players have got a little bit more control. I was really disappointed that the way the tribes turned out, because I do think until the merge, I just don't see that tribe stacked full of people are going to be able to go to Tribal Council. Which means that the whole Sierra storyline of wanting her revenge on Rodney is not going to get played out. She's not going to get a chance, which I just think is silly.
Here's Charles ringing you now. The Queen spoke to you now. Charles is ringing up.
It's William.
It's interesting, kind of with it too. Like, and I'm sure I don't know if you're going to get the tinfoil hat out here, but like we always have these situations recently. Like we'll have your Keith or your Sarah. Who's like left alone, but you think, oh, they're in trouble, but they're not. Or you have on Blood vs. Water we had all women except for Vetus and all men except for Sierra. Like there always seems to be a convenient switch that
Yep.
Like, do you read into that? No, I mean I know you're a tinfoil hat man.
That's all we have in Snug, all right? No need to get defensive. Yeah, it's just. I hate the random, but sometimes it just doesn't feel that random like everyone but Amber. Like you mentioned, Keith is the only solo against all couples, and then it's all singles except for Josh and Reed. It kind of just has that feel to it, but... As James mentioned, and also Max Dawson mentioned, like you had the One World and you had the Misfits there. Of course, they're going to lose. Philippines is a bit different because it was a dissolve, not a swap. But then Caramoan, you had the Eddie, Reynolds, Malcolm, Eric, Brenda tribe against Philip and Corinne and Cochrane and Dawn. And then Blood versus Water, you had all the women and Vita, so it was just so lopsided. Kageyama wasn't too bad. And then Samuan del Sur had a pretty bad tribe division. Do what James said, let them pick. Like, they need to let them pick. And it doesn't have to be like Jen gets to pick and she picks Haley. Say, alright, Jen, pick someone from White Collar. So she has to pick someone she doesn't know. And then she picks Joaquin, and then Joaquin pick someone from Blue Collar. Like, there's ways to control it so it's not really like the alliance is staying on the one tribe. There's ways to do it.
When would Gabon? That was kind of a pick 'em in a way.
Micronesia had a pick one. Gabon, I think, is the most unique one they've ever done.
Last time they did it.
Because, I mean, that wasn't a direct... I mean, the start was a pick, but, like, in terms of how they...
But they didn't know it was going to be a tribe. But there's unique ways to do it as well. I'm not going to get into it because it's a lot to explain, but Survivor South Africa had a completely different way, and they picked it doing a challenge, and it was completely awesome. Like, you don't have to do a pick'em or a random. There's different ways to experiment.
Well, even I mean, All Stars, what was it? The tribe that loses will be dissolved. Like, even that. Like, the tribe that loses will be dissolved, and then they basically chose who to pick, didn't they? So, like...
Well, they could have done that.
I mean, that would have worked.
White collar losers, and then 2 of them go to blue collar, 3 go to white no collar, like something like that. I don't know, but just stop with this random because it never works.
It's interesting. The thing that impressed me the most about this whole situation was exactly as you said, Noah. We got a One World reference, and for the first time in the history of Survivor, and the only time in the history of Survivor, Leaf was mentioned.
Yeah, not even in One World. This is the first time by name.
That was like Julian's dog is happy that Leaf was mentioned. Like that was the best thing
I'm surprised
ever.
you can hear him.
Can I just want to go on a complete sidebar here. I'm rewatching One World, and Louise was watching an episode with me the other day, and she saw Leaf, and she fucking loves Leaf. She saw Leaf in the box. She saw Leaf jumping down the slide. Like, Louise is on the Leaf bandwagon, and like, Noah, you mentioned to me that Leaf is going to be in Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
Yes, exclusive. Leaf will be in Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
Everybody go out and see Paul Blart. And
I was really
Mall
hoping
Cop
I didn't have to watch that movie, but now I have to see that movie.
Oh, like I think this is like my 4th rewatch of One World. Like, I fucking love Leaf. Like, the guy is just amazing.
I just love that he's already been mentioned more in season 30 than in season 24.
We'll in our Ozcap eventually at the end of this season, we'll go back and look at the question of like which survivor will be mentioned first, and I think it was Richard Hatch. I think we worked out for this season, but like,
well, technically it's Tarzan.
Oh, well, true, yes. But next season somebody has to say Leaf now that he's out there in vocabulary.
A lot of One World this like in episode 1 and 5.
It's so good. It's so good. So anyway, yes, we have Escameca and Nagarote. So on New Escameca, we have, of course, Dan, Mike, Rodney, Sierra, Tyler, Joaquin, and Joe, who was very invisible in the second episode. And on New Nagarote, of course, we had Max, Kelly, Shireen, Carolyn, Jen, Haley. I keep calling her Hallie. And Will Sims 2 busting out. Sorry, I had to bring that quote up from the
Maneuver in the pool.
Put him in the kitchen, take all the doors away, let him burn down. Not Manifa. I love the challenge, the whole, like, the slingshot with the balls. That's always a good one. They get a plate of sausages. And I like the twist of that they also get the white collar awards. I like that little twist.
Yeah, but
Go,
But
James.
why move them? Why move them to the no-collar beach? Because now the difference between the tribes is now going to be further accentuated. Because now they're on no-collar beach without any tarp. They've got no fishing gear. They've only got a flint, and the other tribes living in a life of luxury with 2 tarps and chairs and all sorts of different bloody things.
You sound like you're a fan of how it all worked out there, James.
Couldn't be happier.
Well, clearly. I like Kelly's reference to the fact she's an undercover cop. That kind of worked out there well.
I love when Shireen was talking to Kelly. She's like, I'm a big fan of this show, and I know we've got 3 people, and they've got 3 people, so I know we have to get Kelly. And there was another one. I didn't write it down. I wish I did.
Was that the wink, wink, hash, talk later? Or whatever
it wasn't Shireen, but someone else. These people keep talking in really intelligent tones, and if you really dissect what they're saying, it's just the most basic. She was really getting, I know we have to work on Kelly, because I'm a big fan. And I think Mike had a comment. It's like, these people, some of the stuff they're saying is moronic. Like,
I think Mike annoyed me. The Mike part that annoyed me was where he was all like, oh, we alienated Sierra, but we have to get her back on side. Like, can't you go and work on somebody else? Like,
yeah,
sure.
We have to get her back on side. Let's all go off and leave her with the other people by herself.
Like, that to me was stupid. Like, you don't just put all your eggs in one basket with Sierra. Like, if you fucked her over, you maybe go and work on somebody else to pull into your 3. Like, you've still got 3. Like, if you've lost Sierra, like, go grab Joaquin, or, like, I don't know, like, try get somebody else. Like, Joe, I mean, he's by himself. So, anyway, I liked Rodney's comment on my mum's 64. She looks so good you could hit on her. Like, that was random.
Is this the second coming of Colby? Because he had a lot of mum-loving comments.
I'm guessing Rodney makes the family visit, and he's going to go on a nice little car reward with his mum, and his mum's going to be watching him in the shower, maybe. No, that's just creepy. For the first ever time in the history of Survivor, we had the American National Anthem sung. Thanks, Shireen. She also was a professional whistler, and she went to try and poop, which was nice. We're getting the quirky Shireen-ness.
I can't stand it.
You don't like Shireen?
No, and I thought I was the only one in the world until I found out last week. I don't want to dive into it too much, but
dive into it,
Noah.
No, people have been. I kind of touched on it last week, but people are so desperate to have super fans on the show. But when they have super fans on the show, it's just obvious camera whoring, like obvious doing this, taking clothes off, doing all this monkey stuff and all this
bro.
just to get screen time. And I'm now convinced after this season, I don't want recruits or super fans. I just want people who kind of watch the show, because I honestly don't think super fans is a good idea, because we get this ridiculousness and nothing she does is actually funny. It's just not funny.
Oh, come on. You got to laugh at some of the
But
stuff.
what was funny that she did?
I liked her poop comment. Like,
it's the fact that it's random and that she's probably. I don't get the impression
but it's
she's
not
saying
random
it
though. It's so forced.
I don't get the impression she's saying
hard.
it to be funny. I think that this is just the way she talks, and she says these random awkward things, and it's kind of an awkward funny.
I think that's it, because I think I got that.
Camera time.
I think I got a lot of that pre-game, and that's why so many of us were talking her up pre-game, because she was so, like, just random. I mean, she's the one who wanted to bring fucking Beyonce on the island.
Yeah, but I think it's all camera time. I think she's trying to get fans in her pre-game, and then I think this is all dying to get camera time.
If it's dying at camera time, she would be doing things that she knows has gotten camera times in the past. This may be the first ever use of the word poop on Survivor. I doubt she was saying that thinking, oh, if you talk about poop, you're guaranteed to be on air.
That worked with Tarzan.
I honestly think singing a national anthem, but airtime alone, surely this is ridiculous for her game.
I don't think Shireen's winning this game. Like, she's not winning.
Shireen is not winning this game.
I think pre-game I had her coming in as third as no votes. Yeah. I think I actually had her as a no vote getter, so maybe she's going to be the GOAT. But
that right,
yeah, but like, I don't know, like, I mean, in her defense, I see what you're saying, but I guess also in defense of that, she can't guarantee what airtime she's going to be getting. I mean, we heard that Caleb in Blood vs. Water was apparently a bit kooky and had all these things like
I know,
that
but
he
that
did.
doesn't mean she did not doing it for her.
Yeah, true. Well,
I don't know if
I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
I don't get the love. I don't totally hate her, but she's just annoying, and we're watching a player self-destruct their own game, and it's frustrating.
The one thing, this whole situation with this happened, then we get Max with the stingrays. The one bit that annoyed the absolute crap out of me here, right, is Max comes on there, he's got his stingrays, like, oh, my feet. Jen comes in, I'm a lifeguard, this is what you need to do. Okay, cool. Max goes along with it. Then Hayley's complaining that he's putting his feet in the hot water. Like, Max didn't say, I'm going to put my feet in the hot water. This was all Jen's idea. And then, like, Hayley's losing his shit at Max. Like,
still, what feet, though?
Well, but if you've been stung by or stingray twice on both feet, you're not going to be thinking at that moment, oh, gee, what about this wart? You're like, what am I going to do? Am I going to die? What's happening?
I need someone to pee on my head.
Was anyone thinking that? Was anyone thinking this is John Carroll 2.0? Like,
I wasn't thinking that. I was thinking a season ahead.
I was thinking Thailand,
Yeah, no, it was a mixture.
Where's Sheam? I think you've been stung by a stingray.
we just needed him to, like, be seated in the surf, like, going, and then, like, somebody standing over him going, yeah, it really hurts, doesn't it? Yeah, I've been stung before. It's one of the most painful things, isn't it?
Oh, I miss Sheam.
I miss Rob. I wanted to spit in his face. So, and actually, every time I think of stingrays, I just weep for Steve Irwin. So that's what I wanted to just rest in peace, Steve.
Way to bring it down. But...
Sorry, I just fucking stingrays. Anyway, so then we get to the challenge, and Dan came in like a wrecking ball.
He should have been naked and swinging from it.
Julian,
manty.
No, Julian, no, he shouldn't have been.
I've actually, if anyone has...
There needs to be a meme.
Well, if anyone has ever wanted to see a fat man on a wrecking ball, look up Ron Jeremy wrecking ball on YouTube. But, I've actually messaged Alina, and I said to her, two ideas for a poster, either him on a wrecking ball a la Miley Cyrus, or something to do with Austin Powers. Smashing, baby!
Yeah. But that's a good point Julian mentioned, or whoever was started singing, sorry, that
Ben.
It was just, sorry, Ben.
Thank you.
It was just, remember Philippines with Jeff Can and Matt Singer was probably the most dramatic challenge in Survivor history. This, like there was no difficulty in it or anything, and there was just no drama. Like I just have memories of that challenge in episode 4 of Philippines, which is one of the all-time greatest, I think.
Well, he dominated it. Like that was just, he got.
But this challenge was just Philippines, but worse.
This was epically sexist Jeff Probst, and I'm not usually one to call out Jeff Probst on sexist, but like, what was he like? The women are so not strong, the men are dominant. Like, calm it down, Jeff. Calm it down. So we of course see Nagarote lose convincingly. Max then goes into a conversation about Capricorns and Leos having the most winners of Survivor. Thanks for that, Max. Why would you say that, Julian? Like, what has that got to do with anything?
I have a big problem with Max, and I've been sort of waiting all episode to get till we got to Max, because I don't know, I find him really, he just turned me off really badly, like these last 2 episodes, because they sort of set him up in the previous episode before his boot. And I don't know, I just think he was showing off. He overplayed the fact that he was a fan. Like, I don't really see what the benefit of doing that is. He was kind of like Noah was saying, like Shirin was doing, just trying to do random shit to get screen time, and he just did seem so arrogant. I really was glad to see the back of him, and I think he was probably pretty humbled, but I don't know if he really didn't know that he was going, because surely you would think that Shirin was like, we probably should be worried. He was like, nah. And, I don't know if he was as good of a player. It just shows, like, all that teaching doesn't necessarily make you a good player, because he was pretty shit.
Sophie tweeted today saying, I guess those who can't do teach, right?
Yeah.
Which is quite funny.
Poor Max, though, he is going to cop a lot of backlash now.
I mean, this is the thing with Max, like, no matter what happened in this game, he's damned if he do, damned if he didn't. Like, I mean, if he won the game, it would have been like, oh, well, he was a teacher, of course he was going to win, you know, or if he fails like this, like, oh, you know, you weren't that good at it, you know, it's like...
I think it's the complete opposite, because I'm with Julian. I don't think Max was a good player, and I'm not going to hide the fact, just because he was a professor or whatever, and we'll get to Max, but I don't think he was a good player.
Go to Max now, talk about him now, you're on him now.
Well, yeah, here's the thing. I think it's the opposite of what you were saying, because I think people are going to say, oh, yeah, he was robbed, blah, 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 he deserves a second chance because he was that big fan, when plenty of people have been voted out fifth who have been better players than him. I think he's going to get a free pass just because he was even with the fans and that. But he was a pretty sucky player. Like, he alienated himself. I'm sure we lost a lot in the edit, but he was way too close to Shirin. And what did he do that was impressive? He got the Kelly Wentworth from the rankings cast, went to 2 tribal councils, was in the majority for the first one, and then was voted out in his second one. And I don't think he was screwed by the switch either. I think he was going to be voted out eventually if there was no switch on White Collar. I really don't think we should give this guy a free pass just because he's a massive fan. Like, there's plenty of other players who got screwed over who were good. So, yeah, I think he's a bad player.
It's very rare that I say these words, Noel, but I actually agree with everything you just said there. Like,
but I feel like no one is going to say that because they're too scared, because they think this guy is...
Well, look, I know Max listened to our preview episode, and look, I haven't spoken to Max since the season started, so I'm not sure if Max has been listening. Hello, Max, if you are listening. But, like, it's...
If you... nothing against you.
No, like... But like...
Yeah, I speak the truth.
Like, I think... In my opinion, I think Max started off okay. He seemed to be kind of doing it, but, like, the last couple of weeks, yeah, I agree with you. Like, I mean...
Taking your clothes off, that's an awful strategy.
I don't necessarily think, like, I could see some merit in that, but, like,
I can't see any merit in that.
I think it's kind of, I think it was Julian mentioning, like, with the whole Shirin situation and, like, the way they were acting like they thought they were very comfortable. I'm sure a lot of that comes down to editing, and I'm sure we're going to get a lot in the exit interviews about what really happened there, but, like, for somebody of his stature who's meant to know as much of the game as he does, like, you know, you don't sit there and think you're that comfortable. I can't fathom that.
I'm an evil bastard, but I found it so hilarious that Max Dawson was voted out 5th and didn't go on to become this epic player who's going to be a big returnee. I just thought it was quite funny, and the fact that he got the same amount of confessionals as Zane Knight just makes me chuckle inside. I'm sorry for being so evil.
Colin, Mr. Dawson?
I've got a couple opinions on this. First, I will agree that he's not a great player. I think that he had the makings of a good player, but the fatal flaw that you can't teach and you can't learn is social awareness, and there's no way around it. It has nothing to do with editing. He had no clue that this tribe was not ready to follow him. So that's why he's gone. There's no question about it. But I'll put on a tinfoil hat for a second here. As I said earlier, this was like a Drew Christie edit. They were going to great lengths, I think, to make both Shirin and Max look stupid with things that would never normally make Survivor. You know, his thing about, I just always wanted to say that, you know, pretending to play the idol. And Jeff's reaction, you know, it's like, okay, like, it was just awkward. And then Shirin with her whole laughing with Jeff's reaction to her.
Oh, that was uncomfortable.
That was funny.
But you see, you know, things like that probably happen every tribal council. They choose not to put it in there. Yeah. I honestly think there were several moments in this episode where there was an agenda to make them look stupid. And this is the conspiracy theory.
But do they not need to... I don't necessarily disagree with you. I do agree with that. But do they not need to do that to tell the story? Because the story was that Max and Shirin are annoying the freaking hell out of everyone in the game. So I feel like it wasn't necessarily just there to make them look like fools. I think it was there to
I think that's one part of the story. The other part of the story that we normally see on Survivor, which was even brought up in this episode, is that they're a power couple. They're clearly not breaking up. But I think the conspiracy theory in this is that much like we heard for years, the reason we're using returning players is because we tried it with, all new players with Nicaragua and One World and it didn't work. I think maybe in a way the show is saying fans keep begging us for these, huge diehard fans. So we're going to show them that the huge diehard fans are going. So maybe there's a little bit on both sides, but I honestly think that just the way this episode was edited to just make them look overly stupid. They're probably not great players, but the show was trying to send a message, I think, to people who keep saying, put these super fans on the show.
I don't...
I just think... Sorry, I just want to say something. It's so weird. Sorry, I just want to say, I just think it's so weird how much emphasis both Shirin and Max wanted to place on the fact that they were super fans. Like, I thought that was just... idiotic of Max and even to say that thing, like to joke about having the idol. Like, I don't know if anyone would have done that before, because it just makes you look like a tool, and I felt like Max was consistently doing stuff that made him seem like a bit of a I know best, I'm your daddy kind of tool. Like, he thought he was the leader, and I don't really think he ever was. But
on that note, though, I mean, there have been plenty of other players I know through interviews that have been brought up that are huge fans and talk. Like, I know, for example, like Colton kind of was portrayed as a fan, but I know in talking to a lot of the One World and Blood vs. Water cast, a lot of them have said that it was never shown, but Colton would be saying, "Oh, it's day 3, this will happen," or "This happened on this day." Like, he would mention. So, and it wasn't just Colton. There are others that I can't exactly remember off the top of my head. But like, I can kind of see Colin's point that they're making an emphasis. But I can see kind of both sides to it. But
I can see Colin's point, but the counter argument would be, I think all 450 whatever players they have had plenty of moments that they could completely show them in a different light, and I don't think it's just Max. I think like Nina, Vince, I think every single player could be shown completely different. So I don't think it's necessarily just that they were hiding the fact that Max did good things. I think it's just every player.
I don't even think they're hiding the fact that Max did good things. Like I said, I think he's a bad player, but it's the fact that those moments that made it, like you even said, Ben, it was just really awkward. Even as a viewer, it's a little bit funny, but it's so awkward where it's like, you don't show that on TV because it feels weird. And the same thing happened with all the references to past seasons for me. We always like it when somebody brings up a past season, but there were so many of them. And I really don't think that it's just that Max that was all he talked about. Because, as you said, with Colton, there's tons of people who will just talk about past seasons all the time who have admitted that. It felt like even all those references that they kept showing us to past seasons, it took us out of the show. And I really think it felt to me like they were trying to paint him in a negative light in a way that, not necessarily that it wasn't showing his whole game, but that it was focusing on one aspect so that they could eventually say, this is why we don't put superfans on the show.
If your crazy theory is correct, then I do think it's working, because I'm completely on that thing. I don't think we need superfans. I think we need people like Jen, the people who like the show but don't memorize their stuff.
I would agree with that going into the season. Yeah.
No, I think Jen is probably a fan of the show and she knows how to play it, but she's not memorizing star signs. I think we need to meet in that middle ground.
I'm indifferent on the situation because, like, you get your OTT superfans and then you get your superfans who can mask it. Like, Todd, I don't think was in your face, I'm going to show off for the camera superfan. You get others that are like that, like Cochrane, you could argue is a little bit like that. Tony is a super fan of the show. Is
Tony a super fan?
I think he kind of alluded to the fact that he was a bit more of one than he ever sort of, like, there are some people who are very big fans of this show who just don't show it, but then there are ones who are just way too over the top with it. It's a fine line. Like, I personally have nothing against superfans, but, like, I don't want to see...
Meters in the middle.
Yeah, like, I don't want to see your POS superfans who will, like...
Oh, God, can you imagine? Please, no.
But in saying that, I think, I don't need... I've been quite... and I talked about this in the ranking thing. I've been quite, I don't know what the word positive on recruits. like Fiji.
Yeah.
Had a lot of great recruits, like John Mish, Jacqueline. Like I'm not as heavy on recruits as other people are. Yeah. So I'm not necessarily one of those people who's dying for the superfan. But in saying that, I do love the One World references and the stick to the plan, the game is afoot, and I do like all that stuff. It's just we don't need it too over the top. But my question would... you go, sir.
No, you can ask your question. I was just going to say that it's... I think we've talked about it before, but it's like with any TV show. When you've had a TV show on air for as long as something like Survivor, it's always that nostalgia feel about it when something from the past... It's like, if you're watching a show that's been like a scripted show and a character from... you're up to season 20 and a character from season 3 just makes a random appearance. You've got that real nostalgia feel about it.
Even on scripted shows, you just get that giddy feeling when... I can't believe I used the word giddy.
Continuity factor that always is a good feeling about it. But what was your question?
My question is, we've talked a lot about the Shirin business, but do you think the producers are positioning Shirin for the viewers to... Do they want us to like Shirin, or do they want us to hate Shirin? I can't pinpoint whether or not they're showing us these things so we love her or so we hate her.
Let's go to James with that one first, because I haven't heard your lovely accent in a while, James.
Thank you very much. I think Shirin's one of those kind of almost a three-dimensional character in terms you can take it either way. I personally like Shirin and I like her antics, but I can understand why people wouldn't. I think she's being set up, from my perspective, to be a sympathetic character, but at the same time, I can see why you could argue she's been set up as an annoying character. So I'm a bit on the fence with Shirin in terms of how she's being portrayed.
I love Shirin, but I mean, we were talking about Jen, and I think James, you were the one who brought up Courtney, China Courtney. I'm not saying the personalities of Shirin and Courtney are the same. They're clearly not. But to me, Courtney is somebody who you like. I'm not a huge Courtney fan, but I can see why people like her, if that makes sense. I love Shirin, but I could see why people don't like her. I don't know if there's just a... Yeah. Colin, what do you think on what Noah asked?
I think that she's going to be like a turnaround character where in the next few weeks, I think she has been set up to be negative, and I actually do kind of find her entertaining, but I think as a player, she's definitely lacking right now. But I'm pretty sure she's going to be one in the next couple weeks where her story is going to change, and she'll probably be somebody that you're supposed to get.
She's going to be around for the next few weeks?
Maybe, but one way or another, even if it's just in the next episode, I'm pretty sure that the setup right now is for people's opinions to be changed on her. As far as the tribal council goes, I mean, I know that I could have cared less which one went as far as a player goes, but I was hoping Shirin would be around a little bit longer than Max, because I think we've seen what we're going to see out of Max, and I think that Shirin, out of those two, is the one that might actually have the ability to learn from her mistakes.
I didn't want either to go, because Max was my preseason
pick
to win,
to go.
And then Shirin, because I just love Shirin. But anyway, Julian, do you have anything to add on kind of Noah's question?
I pretty much agree with Colin. I feel like there almost now could be a case for her to sort of change, and if she can survive the next vote, I mean, but maybe Will's at risk too, because it did seem like they sort of agreed with, maybe he should go as well. So I don't know. I feel like she, does have something more that, I don't know, she's a pretty good character, and I definitely want to see her around for longer.
We'll see how it all pans out. I'm just, again, giddy, to use Noah's word.
I should never have used that.
Well, look, when Leaf is mentioned...
so giddy!
When Leaf is mentioned in an episode, we're getting
Everyone
giddy.
gets giddy around Leaf.
And, again, we've got to mention Jeff Probst all but admitting he uses Botox.
Can we talk about how freaking awesome Carolyn Rivera is?
Go for it.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I don't have too much to add, but she is the great mixture of character and player. She's got the sass, and she's also got the sense. The sass and the sense. She's just so freaking awesome. I love her. She's hands down my favourite this season. And I thought for a moment maybe she might get voted out. I was waiting for this shocking moment where it's a blindside and she's voted out over Max because Jeff Probst said this was his favourite episode. And I'm thinking, what? This is just boring and obvious. But she's so freaking awesome.
Just want to point out she's had 20 confessionals up to this point of the season. And at this point of San Juan del Sur, Natalie had 9. So if you want to look at who's had 9 or less so far in this season, Kelly has had 8. Joaquin has had 8. Tyler's only had 7. And Sierra's had 6. So everyone else has had more than 9. Fascinating. I thought Tyler...
Can I say something about Tyler?
Please do, Julian.
Well, I feel like he may be a little bit overrated. Like, I get that he's playing an even kill game. He's pretty relaxed and stuff, but I just don't feel like he has a big enough story to see him going really deep in the game. I feel like he could be one of the next few boots, but yeah, it's hard to say. I just feel like, I mean, I should want him to win because he is one of the ponies, but I don't know. I'm not convinced about him.
Not convinced?
I think every single... sorry, I'm talking too much. I'm sorry. But I think every single word that comes out of his mouth is just so super intelligent and so on par with the game.
Colin? Tyler?
Yeah, I think I kind of agree he could be going soon. We're not seeing as much out of him as the show would almost lead us to believe, because he does seem to be in the middle of strategy and everything, and he seems to be playing a good game, but he's not a standout character at this point, and I think that's the flaw. I think that Carolyn is completely overshadowing him. The thing that I'm most surprised about, this is a different topic, but just posting the confessional count in here, I'm so shocked Dan only has 9. And I think this is an example of how confessionals don't necessarily matter, because Dan is a star of this season. He's all over the show, and only 9 confessionals.
It's I think posted a different list there, because this is a one. I mean, Dan's got 10 on this one, but it's one off, whatever. I see what you're saying though, Colin. Like, he is all over the shop, Dan. I love him. But yeah, it's kind of fascinating with Tyler, because like I still feel he's got like a real winner's vibe about him, even though this double episode he got 1 confessional over the 2 episodes, and again he's not setting the world alight in terms of character and all that sort of stuff.
On confessionals, I've been not harsh on this season, but I haven't been too positive on this season. I'm really loving the even spread. Like, obviously we've got our people who haven't got many, and we've got our stars who have had heaps of confessionals, but compared to past seasons, this was probably one of the most even spread across the board ever. Like, there's no people who were getting completely nothing.
And it's not, yeah, like, I mean...
Well, Sierra and Kelly were 2 of the biggest stars of these 2 episodes.
Thank God, because they were sort of, I didn't feel like I knew Kelly at all until, like, episode 4, so I'm glad that, because I'm really rooting for her now, but yeah.
And yeah, Kelly and Sierra, I feel like I know a lot more about them than I did last week.
Well, even the people who have been booted, like, nobody this season has less than 6, I want to say.
There's no just random boot.
Yeah, so like So had 7 in her first episode, Nina had 6, Lindsay had 7, Max 10, Vince had 12, and the lowest at the moment is Sierra on 6, where if you go back to San Juan del Sur, the lowest there, Nadia had 5 in her only episode, Kelly had 6 across her, 5 episodes, Wes had 9 over his 13 episodes. So yeah, so like it's a good point you make, because they're really, it's been a good spread so far. So.
And I'm so glad we got the Kelly and Sierra, because I love both of them.
Yeah, no.
I'm loving Sierra, but I was worried because I loved Kelly preseason. Then she turned into this complete boring
Purple
nothing,
Kelly.
But, yeah, but she's made a bit of a comeback, and mainly because she's in a position where she had to have confessionals pretty much. But I was really liking Kelly.
She's my last pony. My first pony got me 15
She won't win, but
I don't care. Top 3 is all I want.
She could make it 3rd or 2nd, but she's not winning.
So in terms of so the only people who've had the donut episode, so Carolyn's second episode. Carolyn's had a 0 confessionals episode. Kelly's had 1. Joe had both these episodes. He didn't have any confessionals. Dan's had 1, and Tyler and Sierra have had at least 1. So most confessionals.
Kelly.
Episode 4, Jen and Rodney had 4, and episode 5, Max and Mike had 5. So there you go there. I think that really covers everything there. Next week we've got the Rod and Joaquin bromance.
Watney.
And I like the fact when Max got voted out, he just stared at Jeff. He did not see the torch getting snuffed, and that just reminded me of I don't know if anyone ever saw it. When Russell was voted out of Redemption Island, Jeff did a random Skype interview with him for like Jeff Probst's website or something, and I remember Russell in that interview saying like, "Did you notice that when you snuffed my torch, Jeff, I didn't even look at you snuffing it. I just stared you right in the face. I didn't need to see my torch getting snuffed." So, like, I'm wondering if that's what Max was doing. Like, he didn't want to see the flame go out or something. Or maybe he did, as you said, wanted to make out with Probst there. Colin, what did you think of
Yeah, it's more in line with the other Dawson not breaking eye contact.
I liked his comment. Pre-merge boot. That's uncomfy.
Yeah, but I was waiting for a date line. He's been bringing up One World. What about a cat line?
Oh, yes. Walk off crying.
Hey, leave John Carroll out of it.
Oh, John. We haven't had John in ages. Come on, John. Come back.
This would have been the perfect episode for him to do a recap with the Stingray.
Yeah, we'll get him on with Purple Kelly. All right. So, let's take a look at ponies and points and all that sort of stuff. Power rankings, first of all, I'll get to those in terms of who got the points. Bad week for you and I, Noah.
It's always bad week for you and I.
For Lindsay, you had her at 5th last week. I had her at 6th. And Jeremy and Val had her at 7th. So we all had a high up, but they were closest. And for Max, you had him at 7. I had him at 2nd. Val had him at 9, but Jeremy got the point there. He had her at 10. So Jeremy's...
Let's fire those two.
Jeremy's up to 5. Val's on 3. You and I are on 2, because last week... You, Jeremy, and myself correctly predicted Nina would be next week, so we got the 2 points for that. Just updating it, because obviously we didn't do that last week, given you guys wouldn't have had the stats. For the Ozlets, the ponies, last week, Kristen lost Nina.
Kristen!
She's christening still over that. In terms of Lindsay, Rossi, bye-bye. And in terms of Max, Clifton, bye-bye. So, Julian... Clinton. Julian, you're sitting pretty good right now. You've got Tyler and Rodney. How are you feeling?
That extra $10 I invested into this suite was the best $10 investment, I feel. I feel I've got a pretty good chance to get one in the top 3, so... Fingers crossed.
I need Kelly to make the top 3 so I can... I've won $15 out of my $20 back, so I'm only down 5 at the moment. Colin, you have, of course, got Joe, Mr. Invisible, this week. How are you feeling?
Not as good, considering we haven't seen anything from him, but he didn't seem to be panicking at all. That's one thing that's really good about Joe, is that nothing seems to bother him, so I think he still has a really good shot.
James, Will Sims 2 busting out. How are you feeling?
It's not the most ideal pony sweep.
James, just admit it. You're not getting any birthday money.
He's the only one who is being nice the whole time, never says a negative word about anybody. And if he can just make it to the merge, I think he could maybe make a bit of a run, because no one's going to be voting him out anytime soon once it's individual. So fingers crossed. I'm not holding my breath.
And Noah, Carolyn, you're doing okay there too, I feel.
I'm confident, but I can picture it right now, because last season I had Trish. She came 5th, 2 seasons ago. Then I had John Mish, and he came 5th. So Carolyn is getting the 5th place edit at the moment. She's so coming 5th, I can feel it.
So was the first boot.
Who had so?
I did.
So sorry.
Yeah.
No, I feel like Carolyn will get close, but no cigar.
Now, in terms of our preseason to our points, I'll just go over last week quickly. I won't beat around the bush. The point there went to Noah and Paul for Nina, because Noah, you had her at 17th, Paul had her at 15th, so you're either side of the 16th, so well done. This week, for Lindsay, I thought I got it. I was so excited because she went 15th, I had 14th, and I'm like, fuck yeah! And then Noah, you had her at 16th, so I'm like, yes, you and I are going to share the point. Turns out
I'm rolling in points.
Turns out Joppy had her at exactly 15th, the Norwegian prick.
Damn it.
So Paul had 8th, Julian, you had her at 13th, and James and Colin, I didn't have yours. For Max, well, he was my winner, so...
and I laughed at you when you said it, so...
Julian, you had him at 5th. Noah, you had him at 5th. The closest was Paul, who had him at 12th. So the current tally board, as it stands, myself, Paul, and Joppy are all on 2 points. Noah, you're on 1, and Julian, Rossi, and Jared are yet to score.
Jared.
Yes, Jared. Okay.
Never gets a point.
Poor Jared. So, our questions here. Who's your tip to win Survivor Worlds Apart after 5 episodes, Julian?
Oh, God. Maybe Carolyn. I get a Denise Stapley vibe, so let's hope that continues.
I see it. Colin?
Yeah, I'll agree. Carolyn.
James?
I think a blue collar will win because Jeff likes blue collars and he loves this season. And I think the obvious blue collar to win will be Mike.
Natalie.
Good pick last season there, James. Noah?
Yeah, I think it's Mark Harlow, and I can't wait to his final jury speech where he clears his throat and says, "Oh, thanks for the votes." Normal voice.
Like, have a buttermento.
Yeah, just a cough and then his throat's fine.
I've got the black lung.
Yeah, I think Mike could do it.
Noah, your dark horse.
Let's say Rodney.
James.
I'd love to say Will, but it's a dark horse. I think is Haley.
Oh, okay. Colin,
Jen,
Julian.
I'd say Haley as well, actually. Yeah.
Who's next to go, Colin?
Probably Sharon.
James.
It will be Sharon.
Julian.
I think Will, just to be different.
Noah.
I can't see Shireen getting out of this.
Now, because I don't think we've had Julian and James on one of these this season, what tribe would you be on, Julian? If you
no collar. I'd be a no collar. Yeah.
James, what about you?
I think I'd be white collar, if I'm completely honest.
And in terms of players, who do you think would play most like you would want to play like James out of all the contestants?
Unfortunately, I think I'd be Max. I'd be the one referencing all the different seasons eagerly and sticking out socially and getting voted out early.
Julian?
Who I'd want to be like? I'd want to be super smooth like Joaquin, but who I'd actually be like? God. Probably Vince. God, yeah. No, I'd be probably like Vince.
Setting yourself up higher there, Julian.
Just a quick off-topic question here. We've talked about James a lot in his profile picture on Skype here, holding a copy of 50 Shades of Grey on a boat. Did you happen to go see the movie at all, James?
I haven't seen it yet. I've heard it's rubbish. The book was crap, so I'm not in any rush.
Can we seriously just run a separate podcast where James, you review stuff? Because, like, it was
this
rubbish.
Book was crap.
And then the dog
would disapprove.
And the dog right on cue.
Has anyone here seen the movie?
4 stars from the dog.
Has anyone here seen 50 Shades of Grey?
No.
Has anybody seen the Lego trailer of 50 Shades of Grey?
There's a Lego trailer for 50 Shades of Grey?
Yes.
Oh, well, I know what I'm looking up after I get off this podcast. All right, hashtag for the episode and hashtag for this episode of Survivor Oz. Let's start with you, Noah.
Last week Paul skipped. Can you skip? Let me think.
No, what the fuck, Paul?
Yeah, I shouldn't have let him skip. For this episode, let's say a return to hashtag Manifa in the pool. And for the episode of Survivor, I'm going to say hashtag Shireen don't sing.
Julian.
For the episode of Survivor, Wrecking Ball, Dan on a Wrecking Ball, in Mantis. And
sounds like a dream of yours here.
Oh, hell yeah. Delicious. And I don't have another idea for the other episode. Here's my Mantis.
There's a soundbite there.
It's Mac time now. Colin?
For Survivor, hashtag return of leaf and poop references. And for the Oztopsy, shame on you all for not saying hashtag happy birthday, James.
Hey, it was my birthday yesterday.
Shame on you for not saying happy birthday, James.
James.
I hashtag for the Survivor episode, I don't know, super pants suck. And hashtag for the Oztopsy, I don't know, hashtag Courtney.
Courtney. It's better than Natalie.
Natalie.
Well, that about does us for this Oztopsy. We keep saying it every week. Oh, next week we're going to be live. And we're 4 weeks into it, and we have.
Did you write that on Twitter? It's by the sound of your voice.
Yeah, no, we'll get to it eventually, hopefully next week. But in the meantime, if you listen to this, as always, comments appreciated, feedback. Give us more 1 stars on iTunes. Love those 1 stars. Big hello to Pookie Bear. If you're listening, Pookie Dog.
You just offended Pookie Dog.
Oh, give us another 1 star, Pookie Dog, you misogynistic prick. We will be back next week. Now, our episode recap this week. So excited to bring back our bestie, our beloved. I don't even need to talk her up that much because she is just the epitome of awesome. It is the one, the only Purple Kelly Shin. She'll be back to recap this week.
Kathy Sleckman and then Purple Kelly were on a hot streak.
Hey! You leave. Don't.
I didn't say anything. I said we're on a hot streak.
Purple Kelly has promised to sing me happy birthday in an Australian accent, and if she doesn't, well, I'm going to
edit to do it like Marilyn Monroe.
Well, I'm going to edit her out so she only speaks 7 minutes in or something like that. So,
gotta milk your own milk.
So that will be up hopefully on the weekend. I'll post up a post there for you to get questions in as well. I've got some exciting other recappers coming up too for the rest of the season. We're hoping to get the Twinnies on next week.
Oh my god, that's so exciting.
Billy's not lined up.
Bring Billy back.
Bring back Kate. We've got Kate lined up for a recap actually.
She's scheduled.
Can you guys do another ranking 442 contestants?
Oh, fuck yeah, we'll do it with the South African Survivor contestants. I
feel like the rankings have changed already. We need to incorporate Max into it now.
You know what I think we're going to do? I think the 5 of us who are involved with the rankings will take a back seat, and I'll get 5 of you Ozlets to do it. And,
you guys can do it.
You guys can do it. Whatever.
Yeah. Don't feel like
I think I've ranked enough contestants for the rest of my life. We've got the Oscars coming up in a couple of months. Focus on that, Julian.
Yeah, that's pretty close.
SurvivorOz.com. Stay tuned to that. Facebook, as always. Twitter. Subscribe to us on iTunes. You know the drill. Guys, thank you for joining us. James, great to have you back here, mate. Happy birthday.
Thank you very much, Ben. It's a pleasure to be here as always, and I'll try and make more appearances.
Good. Colin, thank you.
Thank you, and happy early birthday to me. 4 days away. You guys better remember.
Oh, God, it's everyone's birthday this week.
Wow. Happy 42nd to Will.
He was happy 42nd to Colin. He's not that old. Julian, when's your birthday, Julian?
It's been and gone. It's December.
Oh, so, yeah. Well, not this year.
Well, has that been
it's the 31st of December, so it's. I almost feel like it was this year.
Oh, wow. So you celebrate New Year's Eve and you, I
celebrate New Year's Eve blood drunk on my birthday, yes.
So you very near, how does that work for a New Year's Eve, baby? Because your age is so, close to being different.
Well, in school, I always had to, if I was 1 day younger, I could have, ran the running races and all that against the younger grade, which would have been good, but alas. I was not in the under 15s. Yeah.
That's confusing. Anyway, and Noah, thank you.
Thank you, and of course, because of March Madness, we don't have Amazing Race, and we might be doing something, but probably not. Who knows? So yeah, and happy birthday, James.
So it's March Madness and not the whatever awards it was.
It's March Madness and not dating selfie galore season that sucks. Paul.
I've watched the first episode, and did they go to Hobart or?
No, they didn't even go to Hobart, but they did go to the Cat Cafe, but not in Hobart.
Is Bergen still in it?
Yeah, Bergen's there.
All right.
And Kurt.
All right, good.
Kurt the Clown.
Is the new Kids on the Block still in it?
They're out.
Oh, really?
Oh, spoiler! Episode hasn't gone up yet.
Yeah, don't know.
Sounds like
we'll talk about it in our upcoming episode that should be out tomorrow.
Should be out in about 2 weeks, based on the last one when I got that up. I'm not blaming you, Cole. That was me, of course, getting that up late. So anyway, we'll be back next week. I said all that shit. Whatever, we're going. Let's close it out with a bit of Miley Cyrus and Wrecking Ball. Till next time, say hi to Kate for us, and we'll speak to you next time on the
Happy birthday.
on the trains.